Thank you very much once more. My name is Adiele, Kelechi, I'm a SAP consultant. Today we're going to be looking at a very interesting topic which we call vendor master data. Kindly visit our YouTube channel for more um, information and for more videos. We have talked about the customer master data. We have gone into in-depth details about customer master data. Also, we have talked a lot about the customer master data. Today, we're going to look at introducing the vendor master data. What is vendor master data? How do you create a vendor master data? How do you change? How do you edit? How do you make some attachments to your vendor master data? So briefly, join us for this session as we dive into this course for the day. And of course, very soon we'll log into our SAP and perform these transactions practically. So let's go to the next course. Okay, so what is vendor master data? A vendor is one who provides goods or services to a company. Vendor master data is the central source of information of the vendors from an enterprise, of course, that we make procurement from. It contains information such as the name, the address, the currency, payment terms, tax, and other very important, the bank details, and other important information. Also, the vendor master data is divided into three records, three data. We have the general data, contains, which is created at the client level in SAP and valid for all at all organizational levels. We have the accounting, or what we call the company code data. Now it is maintained at the company code level and is valid for all plants belonging to that company. So it's company code specific. Next is purchasing data, which is maintained at the purchasing original level, of course, which is also tied to materials management. So let's look at the composition or the structure of vendor master data creation. Of course, so when you create vendor master, what we call decentralized vendor master data, it has only two sessions, only two data, which is general data and the company code data. Why decentralized vendor, and of course, transaction codes to do your vendor, create your vendors in a decentralized form is FK01, which is at the FI level. Sorry. If you want to create your vendor master data at the centralized level, of course, you have to create the three different areas. You have the general data, company goal data, your sales or your purchase area data. This is a complete master data. And, of course, this doesn't just have FI, it has both FI. If your sales area data, of course, it's related to the SD part, which is your sales and distribution. If it's purchase original data, related to your MN, which handles procurement and logistics. So how do we create a vendor master data? So the transaction code, of course, we have said centrally is XK01. So we're going to go to our screen now and actually carry out this task. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's just go back. Okay, so we have saved the transaction code to create vendor master data decentralized form. It's XK01. Just enter that at the command bar. Okay, so you want to, if the number range assignment is external, then you have to provide the vendor. Internal, just follow these 3 basic steps. If you want to create a vendor master data with reference to an existing vendor, then we can use this reference section. So let's say Moon is our company code. Okay, I think we can use this. Purchasing data is Moon. The account group, we can use any of these account groups. Let's see if we have that in Moon. So we have something here. So we can select this. Just enter to validate. So we have this issue not defined. Let's see what is defined. Okay, so let's change this company code because it's not. Let's use let's say E10. E10. Account group E10. Enter. Okay, so of course, the first data you have to provide is what we call your general data. Like we said, it is open to all company codes within a client. So I want to create a company. Because for example, the name of my company is Spa. The search term, it's just a coded term you can use to make a search for this vendor. So I'm using SWIL. House number, or let's say the streets. Say H. House number is 23. Postal code. 5-digit number. The city. H. Country US. Okay, come down. Provide the telephone. This guy. Provide a valid email. Okay, we are done. The relevant information. Of course, you can add international versions to this. Click on next. Okay. If this for account control, if this customer is also a vendor, you can select this option. Some business scenarios require that kind of configuration. You can enter your tax information here, enter your VAT number, depending on your country and the requirements. It's a vendor, so enter tax detail. Industry, you can get, you can say this vendor operates in a particular industry. Let's say agriculture. Next. Now you have to provide the bank key for this vendor. The essence of this is if you're going to do automatic payments to this vendor, you have to provide the necessary bank information data that the system is actually going to use to make this payment to this vendor. So select the country, select your bank key, so access bank, provide an account number, copy, paste the holder. Plus, you can delete these details. These are alternative transactions. Click on that. So I've actually entered the vendor master data, the banking details. So we have gone to the next data, which is a company code data. And here, the first information we have is the accounting information. We have to provide a reconciliation account. Now, the reconciliation account is a sub-account of the GL that is used for reconciliation purposes. So the idea here is that for receivables and payables, these accounts require clearing. So when you raise an invoice for a vendor or a supplier, this transaction actually hits a payable account, and it's expected that another transaction is to be made, like the payments, in order for you to clear this reconciliation account. The idea of reconciliation account is the sub-account of the GL that would require clearing when necessary. So we can use trade payables. Now, these accounts are derived from your chart of accounts. So for you to be able to create your vendor master data, you should have created your GL accounts. Created your GL accounts, put the necessary parameters before you can actually make this selection. If you don't have a GL account or you've not worked on your chart of accounts, you might not be able to progress past this phase. Domestic sort key, like I explained in our previous class, the sort key is used to sort your document line items. Cash management group is used for cash flow statement, cash flow analysis. If this vendor will be subject to interest calculation, this configuration can be done. Also, if this vendor is subject to withholding tax, this configuration has not been done, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do. But let's assume in our next class, we're going to look at configuring your VAT and your withholding tax. So stay tuned to the next. Subscribe to our channel and look forward to videos that define the payment terms. Payment terms are used to discuss payment arrangement with your vendors. Depending on the agreement and depending on the contract, certain vendors will require to make certain payment terms. So it's important that you should have configured your payment term in order for it to be available for you to assign to your vendor master data. Also, the credit memo term can also be configured. Credit memo is used when you are actually making a refund or return back to the supplier. Payment methods are also very important. Which method is going to be used to make payment to this vendor? Bank transfer and cash, check. If this will go through approval, then you can block this vendor. Tolerance group handles volume of transaction that this particular user can handle for this vendor. Okay. So let's go to these are just relevant information. Dunning is used to page your invoices and of course raise a correspondence to this vendor to make necessary payments if it's a refund case. Okay, and account statements can be used to get the details of your vendor transaction. Just as you have your bank statement, you can also get your account statements. Next. Other currency. Okay, so we're going to be using USD. Now we've gone to the next data, which is your purchasing data. And like I said, we're creating these vendors at the central level. So the MM team will require this configuration. It can be handled by them, depending on agreements or responsibility. So we can say subject to receipt-based invoice verification. Management is required. Assign the purchasing group. This configuration is also done at the material management level. MM level. So I already have that configuration. Let's go to next. Here you can actually assign a partner. Now the idea of a partner transaction is a particular company might not start and finish the procurement process. So let's say, for example, if SPA, which is a company we have created, requires, let's say they want to procure a particular service from a vendor. However, they don't do haulage. So we've made a purchase requisition, we've made a request from them. However, we have a partner that does haulage, so we can actually engage another partner to actually carry out the haulage part of this agreement. So for all your partners you actually use for business transactions, they can be tied to a particular vendor. So that's the idea of business partners. So let's say we have a partner for holding agents. So for this particular vendor, we can assign a partner as a tutor. Okay, so we say this configuration is not done. Let's see if we have invoice presented by. Select someone here. Okay. Let's also check. Okay, let's use the same vendor does the forwarding. Let's internal. Okay, so we need to check this configuration. Let's delete this line. Click on enter. Because you want to save. Yes, I want to save this data. Click on yes. So at this point, we're actually done with creating your vendor master data as explained. We have created the data at the general, we have entered the general data, we have entered the company code data. This is supposed to be purchase additional data. Sorry, let me just correct that. Okay, we've carried the first step. We went to SK01, provided the information for the company code, the purchase solution, the account group. The next step, we looked at the general data, we looked at the payment transactions, and of course, looked at the purchasing of national data. Okay, so let's go back to SCP. So this master data has been created, and for every document or data created in SAP, it's been configured to generate a document number. So the document number is 4010348. So if you want to, you can carry out other transactions here. So go to vendor and go to display if you want to display this transaction, or use the transaction code XK03. X for X-ray, K for knowledge, then 03. So I want to check information for payment transactions, accounting information for this particular vendor. So the system is actually going to display format. You can actually change by clicking this sign, or you can go to the transaction code XK02. You can make any changes you wish to make the vendor master data. Also, at your change level, you have this option we call service for object. Click the drop down. Now, if there is need to attach any kind of contract or document for this vendor, let's assume that this vendor creation goes through approval levels, and the instruction is that for any vendor master data you're creating, you need to make some attachments like your contract or the discussions between this vendor. So you can go to service of object, go to create, and create an attachment, which is like a document that whoever wants to approve can view in order to make this decision whether to approve this document or not. If you want to check the attachment list, you can find out the attachment list. If you go to workflow and workflow overview, it's going to show you who. Let's assume that this vendor was blocked. If it's blocked, you cannot use it to post your invoices. So you need to check who is supposed to approve this master data. You can actually find out in your workflow review. And okay, so basically that's about vendor master data. Of course, you can delete. You have options to mark vendor for deletion. So let's see some of those transaction codes. So you can block with FK05, and you can set deletion indicator with SK. Sorry, this is FI level. You can get the other information in logistics, material management, see. Okay, I think this is material master. Okay, so basically that can actually create these items centrally, or you can actually go through your logistics and create them accordingly. So thank you very much for our next class. We're going to be looking at posting vendor invoices, making changes to documents, entering all the invoice information about that particular transaction, and running line items to display how this invoice was posted. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Please kindly visit my YouTube channel, subscribe, share, like, and comment the videos. Stay tuned for more trainings. For training, support, why not? You can reach me on my WhatsApp number. That's 347-0341-225. Or you can actually do an email directly. Thank you very much for your time. See you in our next class.